Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever for another important ACCA video if you've got your upcoming Advanced Performance Management exam. Well, I assume because you've clicked on this video where it said APM in the title that you have the upcoming exam for it. Well, in today's video I'm going to take you through where you can find on ACCA's website for free the computer-based examination questions, past paper questions, and for my loyal subscribers out there, I'm going to go through some exam technique that you could implement, or should I say that I'd go and implement if I had to do the APM exam, whether that's tomorrow, next week, next month, whatever it may be. These would be the tips that I'd actually look to put into my strategy. My name is James. If this is the first time you've visited my channel before, I'm an ACCA qualified member from the UK and now tutor, and my lovely YouTube channel, as you can see in my office over here, is set up to help ACCA students like yourself around the world pass your upcoming exam. And also, the main thing for the channel is every single video is dedicated to one of my loyal subscribers, and today is no different. So, I mean, who are we going to go to? As you can see at the bottom here, well, Ryan, I know you're out there. I hope you're keeping well. I know, but as you can see on here, hi James, again, great idea with the channel. Ryan, you're more than welcome. Feel free to share this video if you know anyone who's doing the upcoming APM exam. So he's actually due to resit in September, having previously taken the exam with a mark of 46. So close. But these tips will help you get over the line, Ryan, especially if you watch all the way to the end of the video. It would be great if you could do a video on outlining approach and technique to this module to gain those extra couple of marks needed. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Well, Ryan, you are more than welcome. This video is dedicated to you, along with as well, I'm going to put it in the edit up here, Annie, I got your message on Instagram, and anyone who's watching, you're more than welcome to follow my free content on there. Annie's also failed this exam, so Annie, Ryan, if you watch this all the way through, along with anyone new tuning in for the first time, this would definitely help and would be the actual strategy that I'd be taking to pass it myself. As I said, if you are new here, feel free to subscribe. The button will be at the bottom down there, and feel free to leave, like Ryan just did, a comment about APM or any other examination videos you would like me to do. It's 100% student-led, as I said, so make sure you give the video a massive thumbs up below so that more ACCA students can see this content, so that YouTube knows that you like it. That's the main thing. Finally, what also I've done for you is I've put in the actual description below all of the recommended texts that are all up to date, along with some other ACCA study resources I'd be purchasing to pass it on top of that. Along with, if you click the link in the description to this video below, it's going to take you directly onto ACCA's website, and that is where you're going to find all of the free resources that I'm going to go through in this video. So, get comfy, should I say, cup of tea, whatever works best for you, pen and paper at the ready, and let's head over to the main screen to get started. Well, on 3, and 2, and 1. Okay then, so for you, click the link in the description of this video below. It's going to take you directly onto ACCA's website where all of the APM materials can be found. The first tip that you've got to get written down straight away is the Ethics and Professional Skills module. So as you can see in this video, I'm on the side here, all the important stuff is there in the middle. Make sure you get that jotted down because that is to your advantage to do that skills module before you do this exam. There will be ethical aspects in this exam, and that is going to help you out. Plus, you need to complete it to qualify. So get it done now, write it down that after this video, you're going to go away and get it done. That's the first tip straight away. It's going to help you out. Now, for anyone who is thinking about doing APM as a potential option, or you've maybe not looked into it much altogether on here, not to put you off, but these are the pass marks, or pass rate should I say, for APM. And as you can see on here, give or take 33% for every sitting. So 1 in 3 will pass. It's a very difficult exam. So I'm going to walk and talk you through, as I said, where to find the computer-based examination resources, the past papers, and then also how to analyze those past papers with some exam technique tips. So make sure you stay to the end of the video on this, because first of all, as you can see, there are lots of free resources on here, but I also do James, focus. An analysis of all the free resources on my YouTube channel. So I've not done one for P5 or APM yet, so let me know in the description if you'd like me to do one to help you out. It's okay. But coming on to this now is that this is the first place here, straight away, the CBE question practice area on here. And honestly, so many students miss out on this. So all you have to do is just simply head down, and this is where it slightly gets missed. And this is where we have the specimen exam. It will be the first one I'd be doing up here, along with the practice exams 1 to 3. So first things first, get it written down, to maybe take a screenshot of this and put it as a little checklist for some exam technique. So in other words, what I would have is all 4 of these areas written down. When you're coming to revision, start to cross them off to say, I've done the specimen exam paper, I've reviewed my answers, and I've written down all the areas that I didn't get right. The other key exam tip, why people fail the APM exam, is because they don't do enough questions to time. If you have a look at the external examiner's report, too many students run out of time and they don't go into enough detail as well. So start to actually do these practice exams to time, and it is going to help you out. Trust me on that, it definitely will. All you have to do, as I said, is just click the actual specimen exam on here, sign into your My ACCA account, and you'll have access to it accordingly. A really undervalued resource on there that I'd be using if I was in your situation. Now, the next thing we have are the past papers. And if you click on here, as you can see, lovely stuff. But the thing that really gets me is how many students don't actually utilize these to the full effect. So if you scroll down here, as you can see on the screen, we've got everything from 2020, I'm recording this in 2021, all the way down to 2017. So first things first, download them on here and start to go through as many as possible. I get so many messages from APM students saying, James, I've done the first 2 most recent past papers. The more you do, the better. Trust me on that. And also pretty standard on here. Start to work from the most recent and work your way back. I'd actually write these down, get them into my study plan to say, look, first thing in the morning, I'm going to do the 2020 paper 2 times as well, and that is definitely going to help you out. Write it down on a piece of paper, and then when you've done it, cross it off. So psychologically, you've completed the task, and then you're also writing down where you went wrong. Really critical on there. But finally, I mean, would I let you down? We're going to have a little look through. We'll go through the 2020 paper, just going through and analysing the requirement and breaking it down for some of the key elements as to where people fail on this. We've already covered time. The next one is not reading the requirement properly and answering all of the aspects is a really common one. So let me just pull it up on here. As you can see, woof, we are professional as ever on the channel. And here we go. So this is for APM. And for a bit of authenticity, I've not put any notes on here. I'm doing this exactly if I was you. And the first key element, if this is the first past paper you're looking at, or the first thing you've considered for APM, there is a lot of information in the scenarios that you have to go through. I mean, look at this for question 1 on here. And the real technique here is that you go straight down to the requirements and try to understand what they are looking for before you've even considered what was actually asked in the scenario. Because that is where students fail this exam. They go through the scenario, then look at the requirements, then go back, then they can't remember what they actually wrote down or what were the key elements. And this is where it comes into exam technique going through it. And especially for 50 marks, this is one of the key areas where people will fail this exam. They don't apportion time to the first element of the question, and they don't answer all the requirements on here. So as you can see, I mean, we've got a 16 marker, we've got a 13 marker. So I'm just going to pick out 1 on here. So the critical success factors and key performance indicators of deal police, write a report. So that links into the actual professional marks on here to the CEO. So these are details you'd actually structure in the report in the actual format. To respond to his instructions for work on the following areas. Now, as you can see in part I, this is one of the key elements that try to break down the requirement, what they're asking for. So on here, critical success factors, that is a key element on there, okay? To say, well, I need to be talking about that, and the "and" is the key bit, the key performance indicators. So we've got 16 marks on the side, that is 8 marks each. I've not looked at the answers on this as I go through, but let's just have a look on here. So we've got the critical success factors, lovely stuff, first thing, and key performance indicators straight away highlighted for you on there. So the marker is trying to guide you and to show you the breakdown and for the actual levels of detail on here. So the KPIs for the 4 CSF areas, again, we've not looked through the actual requirement, but you're getting a feel for how it all relates into it and the amount of detail on there. Plus, I'm also going to say, as you go up, notice on here how the scenario is broken down. So try and pinpoint to certain areas to the requirement. There will be points from other aspects, but if you're ever stuck or you're thinking, oh my word, I'm not quite sure where I'm going from here, focus in on the key titles that are in bold on there as well. That will really help you out. It will save you time and help you focus your points. So just coming on from there, from question 1, we've also been given an appendix. Another key area where students make mistakes in the APM exam is reading the figures the wrong way. This came up in the external examiner's reports, so just be aware. As you can see on there, it's for the 30th of June, but as you can see, it's going from right to left on there. So that is one of the key things, just to say, I've got to interpret the figures the right way, because if I don't, then I'm going to get them the wrong way around and interpret them incorrectly, which again is another area where people will fail this exam. Notice as well, just having a little wander onto question 2 on here. Whew, a lot of information, but I'm sort of just having a little look at the current situation, introduction of an ERPS on there. And this is before, I've not read any of this on here. I'm now going down to the actual requirement. So using the soft elements on here, we've got a model, evaluate whether the L-rig is properly aligned with cone and yard. Okay, well that's pretty standard on there. It's telling you exactly what it is. And then this bit on here for part B is an interesting one. I've just had a quick skim, but evaluate the introduction of an ERPS on there. So straight away, ERPS, that is where I'm going to get most of the marks for part B. So I'm trying to focus in on certain areas. Into L-rig's overall business, including column yard. So straight away, I know the yellow has annoyingly slightly pulled them together, but as I'm developing this in the answer, obviously ERPS, we've seen this in the requirement, but for 10 marks, I'm going to be breaking it down for L-rig's overall business and then column yard on there, okay, evaluating the introduction. But we've already pinpointed, before we've had a look at the scenario, the actual element on there, going into a bit more detail. Plus, don't overlook the appendix on there. So let's just have a little wander down here to question 2. As you can see, look at the detail that they go into in the answers on here. That is another key element. If this is the first thing you're looking at, going through this actual paper on here, the detail you have to go into are the key elements. And if you don't go into enough detail, you'll be unfortunately in the 2 and 3 that fail this exam. Now, as you can see, nicely split out between the advantages and the disadvantages. So that links into our evaluate on there. So if you see evaluate, start to break it down, advantages, disadvantages, and then within those advantages and disadvantages, you've got to be talking about the overall business and column yard on there. So as you can see on here, the overall business is being highlighted in here constantly as you go through. So nice and easy, and then column yard. So these will be the key words that I'd be looking to actually get into my answer. And if I started to write about column yard all the time on there, oh, that's gonna highlight the wrong bit, but you're getting the point on there. L-rigs on there, column yard, linking your point, trying to avoid saying they will. Be specific to L-rig and column yard in this example, and you're going to be on to getting more marks. Plus, you're going to focus your points back to, as we said, looking at the particular requirement and the particular area in the scenario. All designed to save you time, focus your points in to getting those marks that's going to get you that 50 plus. So, nicely heading down to number 3, and again, you will see lots and lots of information and data within question 3 on here, so you've got to go through that, pick out the key elements that are going to be important for you, and another little tip, as we just did on there, so automatically, we've not even had a look at the requirements so far. So look, we've got the details of the joint venture, we've also got the public view of the joint venture, stakeholder analysis, so I'm just picking up on the key titles before we go through. And then we've also got level of power, level of interest, okay. And we've got a few other areas, so we've got something about Teeland on there, the government of it, the Teachers Trade Union of Ronan, and public pressure group in Teeland, okay. And again, 25 marker. So it depends on what you want to do for this exam, if you want to go for the 50 marker first, or what I actually go for are the 225 markers. But at the end of the day, if you see the actual 50 marker at the start and you think, oh wow, I know lots about that, then go for that. The first hour, especially of the advanced papers, you've got to be picking questions that you build up some momentum and get those early marks in the bank. Now, this is really key, so make sure you get this jotted down, because this is one of the make or break areas where you pick up on some really good marks, or you really limit yourself to not that many. And as you heard, my watch is telling me now to move as well. So we'll keep going on this. Now, coming on to part A, how would I go into this? So remember, we've just gone through those titles up at the top. So discuss the problems that will be encountered in managing and measuring performance in the RSU joint venture. Seen joint venture already up above. Now, this is it, okay? This is how you need to structure and break down the requirements. So as you can see on here, we've got managing and we've got measuring, linking into performance, okay? So let's just go through it again. Discuss the problems. So there are going to be some problems in here that will be encountered in managing and measuring performance in the RSU, so be specific to that joint venture. So break it up in your actual answer to say, right, managing performance, what are the problems, linking it to the joint venture? Measuring performance, what are the problems, link it to the joint venture? And that's a really good technique to break up on here. So as you can see, look at that, managing performance up there, straight away, use the words from the requirement, and these are the points that you'll see in the scenario on there that you need to actually go into in a bit more detail. And there you go, lo and behold, measuring performance. What we're doing there is we're now giving ourselves the opportunity to get the full 16 marks by having and analysing the requirement effectively. Coming on to part B, I'll just do it, we're down here now anyway. So for each of the 3 stakeholder groups, recommend and justify an appropriate performance measure which could be used by Rowan. So I'm thinking there, 3 stakeholder groups, okay? So I've got to identify those in the actual requirement, and I see 9 marks on there. So for each stakeholder group, I can only pick up 3 marks for each one. But this is again where it comes down to it, where we've got recommend and justify. If you don't do both of those elements, you are not going to pick up on the marks on there. So justify and recommend, I know it's going to bring together the bits of yellow, an appropriate performance measure which could be used by Rona. So identify that stakeholder group, recommend what it would be, and then justify it on top, going into specific amounts of detail, and you've got a really good chance for each of those stakeholder groups to pick up good marks on there. And I bet you it's going to either break it down by the different areas, and lo and behold, this is where it came down to that question analysis on there. The government in Teeland, Teachers Trade Union, and public pressure group. So the stakeholder groups are people who have an invested interest within Ronan in this case. So that is where it comes down to it. The other elements on here, make sure you don't overlook this because the external examiner points this out in their report every year that students are not comfortable sometimes with the present value tables, or they don't understand how to use them effectively in the computer-based examination process. So make sure you're comfortable on that when you're going through the online procedure. And again, exactly the same for the annuity table on there. Really key elements. Finally, on here, if you haven't seen it already, make sure you go all the way to the bottom of the answer document, because you have the sample mark scheme where it nicely breaks down for you all of the key elements on there, whether it be the CFFs and the KPIs that we looked at. But I'll come down to question 3 on here just to say, look, for each stakeholder group, recommend the measure as we talked about, and then up to 2 marks for justifying it. So seeing how many marks there were and then breaking it down. Then you've got to say on here, we talked about for 3A, performance management, performance measurement on there. If you only answered about one area, you could only get up to 9 marks. And that's if you actually answered it effectively to the T with everything from the mark scheme that you could put in there. So that is where another key element where people will fail this exam, unfortunately, that 9 marks out of 16 is just a pass, and that is going to the full detail. Most people will probably pick up, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5, depends on the level of detail you're going into, which is why people fail. So go through this, pick up on all of the key elements, the key terms, and trust me, if you put these actual tools and practices into play, you're going to have a real good chance of actually passing your upcoming APM exam. Well, that's the final review, all done. Let's head back to the main screen. 3, 2, 1. Well, Ryan, Annie, and everyone else who's watching still at this point, you have got so much out of this video. If you actually implement this, take action, go and do those past paper questions with the techniques we went through, you are going to be fine. What I would say is as well, make sure you leave any comments below what you thought of the video and any other videos you'd like me to do. Whilst you're down there as well, feel free to subscribe so you get access to all of my free materials, and feel free to give it a massive thumbs up so that more ACCA students can see this content to benefit from it. Well, the last thing I can say is best of luck with your upcoming examination for APM. That's the P5 exam. Let me know as well in the comments how you get on, and also for you, I've left a couple of videos on the side here. If you click one of them, they're definitely going to help your preparation. But as always on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers!